Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the first episode 0, if you will, of my podcast. I've been asked many times over the years by, 4 people if I was ever do a podcast, and I've decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. We're going to talk about gaming stuff, a lot of gaming news this week especially, which is going to help for coming up with topics for this, and maybe some movie stuff too, because I love video games, I love movies. Definitely don't watch as many movies as I would like these days, but if I ever see something interesting, we're going to talk about it, and maybe it'll just give you guys a nice, something to listen to while you're doing much more fun things. That might be worthwhile. I don't know. If this goes well, then this may be a weekly thing. If not, we're just going to forget it ever happened. So let's dive in, shall we? So, first of all, holy crap, Konami, 10 years. 10 years they were like, you know what, we don't care. Silent Hill? What's Silent Hill? Is that some sort of really quiet mound? It's back, baby, and oh boy, it's like a bus. None of them come, you're waiting for hours, no buses, and then 2 come at once, or in Silent Hill's case, 5. Absolutely crazy. We have the Silent Hill 2 remake, which is the one I'm most excited about / worried. We have Townfall, Silent Hill F, which apparently takes place in Japan. I don't know if that's kind of like a spin-off or something. There's an interactive streaming series coming next year, and a new freaking film as well, from the director of the original Silent Hill movie, which I thought was actually pretty good. As far as video game movies go, it was not bad at all. It got the tone of the franchise down. The music was incredible. Visually, it looked great. I'm not so keen on maybe the story, but that's kind of the problem I have with Silent Hill 1's story anyway. I just don't really care too much about all the cult stuff. I'm much more excited in the psychological aspects of Silent Hill, which is why 2 and 4 are my favorites. So yeah, that should be interesting. I don't know how the film's going to be, as long as it's better than the second one. Because, oh boy, that second one, it was not good. It was not good at all. It still blows my mind that Sean Bean is in those films. Like, he's in both of them. And in fact, Kit Harington from Game of Thrones is in the second one as well. So I guess it's worth watching for that, but really, it did nothing for me. Pretty awful. But yeah, obviously for me, the big one out of all of those is the Silent Hill 2 remake. I recently played it on the channel, on my YouTube channel. I bloody love that game. It's in my top 3 horror games of all time. It's a classic. I don't think anyone can dispute that. It's just, is a remake going to be good? Who knows? It's Team Bloober, who I'm not familiar with any of their games, really. I've not played any of their games anyway. Didn't they make Layers of Fear, and I think The Medium as well, which is a more recent one? I have not played those. I heard they were decently received, but don't really know if they're going to deliver the goods. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I want to give everything a chance. I don't want to be a negative Nancy when we've seen so little of it as well. So very much I'm excited, but I'm also trying to keep my expectations in check, if you will. I really do hope it's good, though. I think one thing they could probably improve from the original is the combat, and I'm sure they will do. From what I've heard, it's going to be an over-the-shoulder kind of style, which is very similar to what they've done in the recent Silent Hill games. And I say recent as if it wasn't 10 years that we had the last one. I never actually played Downpour, by the way. Was it any good? I didn't really like Homecoming. I thought Homecoming started out really strong, and then quickly became kind of generic and not that scary. My favorite games, Silent Hill, 1 to 4, Team Silent, rest in peace. Will another developer step up to the plate? I really, really don't know, but I'm hoping for the best. I really do. There's a couple of high-profile remakes of some classic games from my childhood that are either kind of in trouble or taking a while, like the Prince of Persia remake. I think has had some significant reshuffling of developers, and I don't know. It's a scary thing. Remaking a really good game like Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, or Silent Hill 2, it's a big task because, these games, I think they still hold up for the most part. and remaking them for modern audiences, it's finding a hard balance between respecting the original, not changing it too much, but also justifying making it in the first place. I mean, graphical improvements are easy, I suppose. They're the biggest thing that will change. But, it's difficult to do. And I think the Resident Evil 2 remake is one of the bigger success stories. Final Fantasy VII remake, which obviously is still ongoing. Those are two great examples of honoring the original but updating them gameplay-wise. Now, of course, many people will probably disagree with me, Final Fantasy should be turn-based still. That's a different topic, but, those remakes have been very well received overall. And so you just never really know how a remake's going to go. Shadow of the Colossus was another really good one. I really... Blue Point Games, they do them well. I mean, the Demon Souls remake too, God, they knocked both those out of the park, and those were quite faithful remakes as well. And that's another thing. Do you remake it beat for beat, or do you try and add something new to it without taking away what's already there? It's a really difficult. I mean, I don't envy them one bit, because whatever they do, they're gonna get hate for it, as we've already seen online. It's like, oh, James looks terrible now. I will admit I'm not the biggest fan of his design from the very little we saw, but it's something that I'm not going to be not buying the game because of it. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. And art style is very subjective. Graphics, I think a lot of people will prefer a certain look, and there really isn't a way of pleasing everyone. So we'll see how Silent Hill 2 goes, but I'm excited. I'm going to play the shit out of it. There's no way I'm not going to, but it's probably quite a ways off yet. We've no release date, as far as I'm aware, of any of the Silent Hill stuff that they announced. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am. But yeah, it was crazy. I mean, Konami have finally decided, you know what? We've got a great IP here. Maybe we should do something with it. I mean, they'll always have pachinko machines. Those aren't going anywhere. Just make games again, Konami. Even if it's not you, farming them out to developers, I'll take it. Just pick the right ones, okay? And yeah, let's hope we get some return to form for the series, because Silent Hill is too good to remain dead. It really, really is. It's such a nice change from the more actiony, jump scary Resident Evil. I love me some psychological horror, and Silent Hill needs to really focus on that aspect, because that's what makes it so unique and special. Speaking of Resident Evil, we had the trailer, or another trailer, a proper trailer for Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I'll hold my hand up. I don't really think Resident Evil 4 needed a remake. But looking at this trailer, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, no, give it me. Give it me now. I need it. I need it so much. I can't wait to play it. It's coming out in March, still, as far as I'm aware. Just looks awesome. I mean, a lot of people didn't really like the Resident Evil 3 remake. I enjoyed it more than most. So I'm curious to see if they can keep that streak up, or in many people's eyes, if they can kind of turn it around, because Resident Evil 3 remake really did disappoint a lot of people. Let's hope they haven't cut massive chunks of the game, because people will, they will not ever let that go. But yeah, not really much else to say on it other than I'm going to play the crap out of it. Can't wait. But before that, we have a Dead Space remake to look forward to, which I'm really, really curious about. We had some gameplay of that very recently, and I've seen some screenshots. It does look absolutely stunning. And again, Dead Space 1 is a game that I think still holds up very well, but it has aged slightly in the visual department. So, I'm all for a remake of Dead Space. I believe they've added a couple of things to this. They're making Isaac talk like he did in the later games, which I guess I'll have to play and find out to see how I feel about that. I didn't mind him being a silent protagonist in the first one, but at the same time, you don't really get much to do with his character in the first game. So if they heighten that, especially with what happens in the story in Dead Space 1, they could really, they could definitely improve the original in that respect. But the weird thing is, in December, we've got the Callisto protocol, which is from, I believe, some of the original devs of Dead Space. And it's looking insane. I can't wait to see what that's like. But it's so strange having these two games, one very much a spiritual successor to the original Dead Space, coming out in such short amount of time within each other, in such a short space of time. Dead Space. So I'm very excited for that as well. I hope that's going to be good. It looks gory as heck, and I'm kind of trying to avoid watching too much footage of that so I can be as surprised as possible when I play it, which I'm definitely going to check it out. Whether or not I'm going to do it as a playthrough on my YouTube channel, not sure, but it is definitely on my radar. You know what else is on my radar? Final Fantasy XVI. We had the Ambition trailer, and it blew my bloody socks off. I can't find them anywhere. I'm barefoot right now. It looked so good. I mean, pure spectacle. The visuals, the music, everything. I'm just digging it. I'm digging it so hard. We got a little bit more gameplay, but not too much. And that's one thing I would say I would like to see in another trailer for Final Fantasy XVI, maybe early next year. Give us a trailer with some actual exploration and maybe some combat against some regular ass enemies, not freaking icons and summons, which is really cool, by the way. I mean, holy shit, those fights look insanely like over the top, just what you want. But I want to see what it's like to explore the world. And we did see a glimpse at some of the different kingdoms in the trailer. It really did focus on the different realms and empires in this world. It really gives me heavy Final Fantasy 12 vibes, Final Fantasy Tactics, basically Ivalice. A very high fantasy setting, warring kingdoms, political intrigue. I am so for it. And obviously medieval kind of time setting. Something I've wanted Final Fantasy to go back to for a while now. I really need it. I really need it. Still saying a summer 2023 release date or release window. So that could obviously change. But apparently, according to the updates the devs have given us, they're in the final stage now. The debugging, the tweaking, the polishing up. So if they have another 6 months of that, the game should be in a pretty good state when we get it. And that's really all I care about. I want it to, play well and be optimized. We don't want any huge issues with bugs or poor performance on release, obviously. So, fingers crossed that the rest of development goes well, and I am so excited. I have so much faith in the team that's involved, the talent involved in FF16. Just give it me now. I really, really cannot wait. And oh my god, I tweeted this earlier today, actually. Not enough people are talking about the music in that trailer. Oh, it's so good. It gave me goosebumps from the little hints of the prelude theme to like all out just epicness towards the end. The violins. Soken, I mean, such a great composer. Obviously worked a lot on Final Fantasy XIV these days. If Uematsu is a god, Soken is a demigod. I said this in a stream earlier. That is just such great music. I would have been pretty happy just a black screen, maybe with the logo of Final Fantasy 16 and just playing that music. That would have been enough for me as a trailer. Although I guess that's going to be on YouTube at some point anyway. Really, really good. Really, really cannot wait, as if my excitement wasn't already at fever pitch. They promised us a trailer in October, and they delivered. And in my opinion, it was actually better than the last trailer they showed. Not that I didn't like the last trailer. I just thought that this one was just way more exciting. Just had way more to show. And the last one was fine. It was fine, but Ambition, really, really good. And also, if you haven't checked out my reaction video to that, that is on my channel as well. How's this going so far, by the way? I feel like I'm stumbling over my words a lot, and I don't know if I have much to say or if it's that entertaining. I don't even have a freaking name for this yet. Like, again, any suggestions for the name of this podcast, please let me know in the comments, because I have no clue. I was thinking maybe Bants in Your Pants, which is kind of just a joke, but, banter, ants in your pants. There's kind of, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but I hope this is interesting enough to keep your attention, even if it's background noise, for a little while. Oh, before I move on from Final Fantasy XVI, because it's super exciting, they actually did show off, I believe, 2 new characters in the trailer that we hadn't seen before. Barnabas and Dion. Now, Barnabas is the dominant of Odin, which obviously is a very popular Final Fantasy summon staple of the series. But the one I'm more interested in is Dion, because Dion is a dragoon who is the dominant of my favorite summon in the whole series, Bahamut. And I just think it's perfect having a dragoon be the dominant of the King of Dragons. It's just absolutely perfect. I can't wait to see what these characters do, what their motivations are. I try not to read too much into story stuff in trailers, especially for a game I'm really excited for, because I don't want to spoil anything. I want to discover a lot of things when I play the game, at release, but at the same time, I like little hints at what characters are doing, who they are, what they look like. It looks like there's going to be quite a few villains from the trailer as well. A lot of people, like empires, crazy dudes in Mordor. I really can't wait to experience the story. It's very, very intriguing to me. I've also heard they're really working hard on accessibility features as well for people that aren't super into action games. Because looking at the combat, it is definitely high-octane action. Very, people compare it to Devil May Cry because of who's working on the game and just how it looks, but I'm fine with that. I'm very open-minded when it comes to combat systems in RPGs. I don't need it to be turn-based, but I also don't get bored if it is. So yeah, really, 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 really just want to get my hands on it and just see what it feels to play like. You know what I mean? I don't know if we're going to get a demo. Recently, Square Enix have just been throwing demos out like going out of style. And I don't know. We got a demo for Final Fantasy 15, but Final Fantasy 15 also had a way more troubled development cycle. And I always got the impression that they didn't quite know what they wanted it to be, especially considering they were always asking for feedback on the game. And in the end, I think Final Fantasy 15 turned out way better than it had any right to. It was overly ambitious and went through development hell. Obviously, it was Final Fantasy Versus 13 for a long time. So, yeah, I feel like 16 is a way, way different situation here. I believe they've had a strong vision from the get-go of what they wanted it to be. And so, just give me the game now. Although, I know I am a hypocrite. I've just contradicted myself saying, oh, well, I'm glad they're spending 6 months polishing it and all that. Definitely do that, but also, can I have a copy early? That'd be super great. Just saying. From one Square Enix game to another, we have Star Ocean 6. They're not calling it Star Ocean 6. They're just calling it Star Ocean: The Divine Force. But it is Star Ocean 6 in all but name. And playing the demo to that lately, like, when did that come out? Like a month ago? Really impressed me. It has a lot of potential. I think the combat system, in the demo at least, was very, very fast-paced, and the enemies were a little bit too easy to kill, so I'm wondering if that's going to be the case in the final product. I will be streaming it on launch day for a couple of hours over on my Twitch, although by the time... I don't know when this podcast is going to go out, I have no idea, but I'm really, really excited to play the full game. I don't know at this point if I'm going to commit to a full playthrough of it on my channel or anything like that, but I definitely will be streaming it on launch day for a couple of hours. And I'm really excited. I really, really am excited. After the demo, I was way more excited for it than I was before the demo, because many of you will know I wasn't the biggest fan of Star Ocean 5. Integrity and Faithlessness, or whatever the heck it was called, really disappointed me. I thought it was a lazy, just unfun game with just having so many characters on screen at once as well. Just didn't work at all. The combat system was a complete mess, in my opinion, and they even straight up reused the exact same music tracks from Star Ocean 3. Not even just, oh yeah, this is the tune you like, but we've got a new arrangement of it, like most games do, like Final Fantasy does, Dragon Quest. No, it's the same one. It's the exact same one. Okay, well, you've just basically used Star Ocean 3's soundtrack, and it just felt very lazy. So the fact that this demo, I was really worried it was going to be a complete train wreck, but it really was fun. And as long as the difficulty's right, I honestly, there's different difficulty settings to choose from. So whether or not we'll need to up the difficulty by choosing it at a higher level if the base difficulty is too easy. I don't know, but I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. As much as I don't really like some of the character models in it, a little bit weird, especially Raymond, the main character. It looks a little bit odd to me, straight out of freaking Bon Jovi. But I mean, apart from that, I'm well on board. I'm very, very curious to see if it will recapture the heights of Star Ocean 2 and 3, because 4 was fine. I liked 4 a lot, but 4 to me is a very ugly game. I do not like the character models in 6, way better than the character models in 4. I really, really thought they were gross to look at in 4. Maybe that's just me. The rest of the game was fun. Combat, fine, the actual graphical look of the environments was really good for the time. I remember playing it on 360. I think it came on multiple discs. I think. I could be wrong on that. It's been a while. I actually bought the 4K remaster of it and haven't actually played it at all. I must have bought that like years ago now. But yeah, 4 was fine. I didn't really think too much of the characters of the story, but the gameplay was fun enough. But yeah, 5 was not great for me. So really hoping Star Ocean can kick off. And I'm hoping this game does well for another reason, and that's because Tri-Ace, who have, been long-time developers of the series, they're in financial straits, as far as I can tell from what I've heard. Things aren't looking great for them. So I really hope that this is, if this ends up being the last game we see from them, I really hope not, because they're such a great studio. I really hope this game does well for them, but I want the game to earn that. I want it to be genuinely good, really solid, if not hopefully well above average JRPG. But from the demo, it looks like there's a lot of systems. The combat is a little bit overwhelming. I need to play more of it, practice it. There's a lot of different things, at play, and looks like there's going to be a lot of customization, like really, really big skill trees, as well as leveling up your skills, making them more powerful. Obviously, leveling up your character as well. It's going to be crazy. Oh, I'm really, really, really hope it's good, but I'm going to be playing it at the end of this next week, so not too long to wait. Right, so going from games I'm going to be playing to games I have recently played, I have gotten through 3 games in the last couple of weeks. The most recent of which being Scorn, which was on Game Pass. I was graciously sent a copy by the publisher, Kepler Interactive, who also sent me a freaking awesome custom Scorn controller, which I was just blown away by. I couldn't believe it. It's a really, really cool controller. The face buttons feel really good on it. I don't know why they feel so different to my other controller, but yeah, really, really impressed with that. Also, please forgive me, I have got a little bit of indigestion. I have just had a curry and it was gorgeous. But yeah, Scorn, overall, I'd say it was actually a game that grew on me over time, just like the parasite of the main character. If you watch that playthrough or you play it yourself, you'll know what I mean. What an experience. Such a grotesquely beautiful game. No idea what the fuck happened in it, but it was more about the atmosphere, being absorbed in that world, and solving some pretty devilish puzzles, which I certainly did struggle with, because it's not really my genre. I don't play many puzzle games, and I wasn't really aware that it was a puzzle game when I turned it on for the first time. I thought it'd be more of a standard first-person shooter, maybe kill some weird creatures and explore a H.R. Geiger-inspired environment, which really was the highlight of the game for me. So good. It was very faithful to something you would find in his artwork, and it was really, really, as a big fan of the Alien franchise, it had some pretty significant parallels and some similarities that were very unpleasant, but in a cool way. I do recommend Scorn, but you have to have the right expectations going into it. I think a lot of people were kind of caught off guard by what the game actually is, And I must admit, the first hour or so didn't make the best impression with me. And again, this is because my expectations were completely off. The game just throws you in. No guidance whatsoever. It's a puzzle at you pretty much immediately, which was not super intuitive until you really get into the game and know how it expects you to play it. It was quite baffling. And but the more I played it, the more I did enjoy it. And I ended up, at first I wasn't sure if I was going to finish it. I really wasn't. But the more I played, the more I got sucked in to just the horrendousness of it all. And I actually, by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I really want to finish this. The ending was weird, though. I don't really know what happened. There are many people out there that probably have a much better idea than me. But it still didn't stop me from enjoying the game overall. I do recommend you try it if you do have Game Pass, but just bear in mind that it really is a puzzle game with heavy horror elements and quite terrible combat, to be honest. Like, the guns themselves, very few of them that there are, and you get them so late in the game anyway, aren't really the issue. They feel weighty, they feel powerful, but just your movement and the enemies, you just get stuck at times in very narrow corridors, and you can't move past them. If an enemy has you against a wall, you can't really do anything. So, combat was definitely the weakest point of it, but overall, I'd say it was worth playing. Before that, I was sent Valkyrie Elysium, which again was from Square, and it was bang average. It was absolutely average in pretty much every way, except the combat. The combat was really fun. It got slightly repetitive, but there was a nice variety of weapons, some nice magic and stuff. It felt really smooth and fluid. Not too many enemy types, sadly, but some pretty cool boss fights as well. And yeah, that's about it. The music was nice as well. Very little of it that there was. Environments, pretty nice. Definitely seen better looking games out there, but way worse as well. So it was really just the story and characters, or should I say the lack of story and characters. Really not much to grab hold of. And it just felt like by the end of it, the developers expected a much more emotional, gripping, affecting ending. In the end, it just felt really flat. The main character, Valkyrie herself, not much going on. Just very stoic at first, and then as the game goes on, you do see changes in her, but it's more just not very subtle. You don't really see why she's changing. She just suddenly is, and it doesn't feel earned at all. The supporting characters, aside from one of them, really bland. You don't really have much time to get to know them, and the only time you do is through some really kind of boring conversations that pop up from time to time between your companions, and you can't skip them, and they repeat all the time. So I apart from the rolling combat, I can't say I got too attached to them, sadly. So if I was to give, I don't really give games scores out of 10 because I find that a little bit, I don't know, I mean, a lot of people put a lot of stock into scores, but if I was to give it a score, it would be a bang average 5 or 6 out of 10. It was fun enough to finish, and like I say, I did enjoy the combat for the most part, but everything else, basic level design, little bit of exploration, but really not much, and puzzles in quotation marks that really weren't puzzles. You just pressed a button and you could get past a door or some sort of obstacle. So yeah, Valkyrie Elysium was a bit of a disappointment considering how much I enjoyed the demo. But again, the demo didn't really delve into the story, which is really the biggest disappointment. So would I recommend Valkyrie Elysium? I'd say maybe try it on sale. Definitely don't pay full price for it, though. Another game I've been playing in my own time is the DioField Chronicle, which, again, I played a demo for. Really, really enjoyed. And Square Enix sent me a copy, and I've streamed it a little bit. I'd say DioField Chronicle is more enjoyable than Valkyrie Elysium in a lot of ways. Very different kind of game, though. This is more of a tactical RPG, more of an RTS, actually. And the combat is really the highlight, again, of the game. It was super fun, although I will say this, again, a little bit easy and a little bit repetitive by, I don't know, like the end of Chapter 2, you've pretty much seen everything other than maybe a couple of different enemy types. For a strategic game, it didn't require much strategy, which is a damn shame. And if they do a sequel, they could absolutely improve on this by adding different classes, different enemy types, and varied mission objectives, because every mission objective was pretty much the same. It was either kill all enemies or defend a certain point. And it got old pretty quickly, but the combat was so fun, even if it was easy. I enjoyed all the different skills you could learn. The characters, a bit of a mixed bag. There was a couple that I really liked, and others that you just don't really get time to get to know. And the story overall was okay. It definitely tried to be a Final Fantasy Tactics, but didn't quite nail it. It had some cool moments, but overall, I can't really say it was very memorable. But yeah, it's just the combat itself was really fun. Customization, really, really cool. I think DioField Chronicle has such potential to become a much better game in the sequel, if they do make a sequel. But I enjoyed it just because it was a bit different as well. Like, I haven't played too many games like it. It reminded me a little bit of, like, Revenant Wings, Final Fantasy XII, and, yeah, RTS games, although there really is, like, there's no base building, there's no real... There's nothing to worry about other than the fights. It's an RTS mixed with an RPG. And although at the beginning it was fairly difficult, it quickly became a formality. Like, the only time I would struggle was with some of the optional objectives, like, don't let an ally die, or do it within a certain time limit, things like that. So yeah, definitely check that out, I would say. But again, maybe not at full price, but I definitely enjoyed it a heck of a lot. But I think that's the end of my notes anyway. I've ran out of things in my notepad, so I think we'll probably start bringing this to a close. I have no idea how long these are going to usually be. It really is going to depend on the week and what's actually happened, and if I have much to say at all. But I do hope you've enjoyed this little rambling session. Just a little, I suppose it's just kind of updates on what I've been doing and some of the things that I'm most interested in. I would love to know, do you want to see this continue? Is this something you would like to listen to every week, or however long, however often I decide to do it? It really is just, it feels like an extension of my videos anyway. I just don't have anything to distract me with. So yeah, I'm all for feedback. I would love to know what you think. And hopefully this sounded okay as well. I'm tweaking my microphone settings. I recently upgraded to a Go XLR, which I'm still very much getting used to. So expect different audio sounds maybe in the future. Who knows? But hopefully this was at least listenable and hopefully maybe relaxing. I don't know. I've been told that I put people to sleep sometimes. So maybe is that a good thing? I don't know. I mean, that's even without the chloroform. I usually don't even need to use that. So anyway, we're going to end this podcast with something that's bugged me for a long time. And I need to get it out. I need to vent. I need to get this off my chest. The Marvel films, okay? We've had several trilogies in the in the MCU. We've had Thor, we've had Captain America, and we've had Iron Man. But you know what really bugs me? The fact that we have Iron Man 1, well, it's just Iron Man, then Iron Man 2, then Iron Man 3. But all the Captain America films and all the Thor films, they all have subtitles. They don't have numbers. Why is it only Iron Man that gets 2 or 3? Like, everyone else is subtitles. It bugs me. Why does it bug me? I don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening to this, everyone. Again, all feedback is appreciated. Just don't be a dick about it. And maybe this will continue in the future. And also, maybe I'll come up with actual ideas for fun stuff. I don't listen to enough podcasts to know how to do them. But yeah, thanks, everyone. Take care. And I will maybe see you again soon.